All right. Let's get into the next episode, which talks about setting up Divi. And again, there will be a link to Divi, an affiliate marketing link in the bottom. I appreciate you coming back to watch this episode. If you haven't checked out the other episodes that we've already done, or I've already done, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Press the subscribe button. It makes a big difference. This, I think, is episode 7, 8, 9, something like that, and a brand new channel. So every little bit makes a difference. Again, I'm going to mention up front that there is an affiliate link. I always want to make sure that everybody understands that as they follow specific links, not all links, but specific links that are included in what I'm showing, that it is a way for this channel to be monetized. So I want to make sure that I make that very clear. So let's dig in. Today's episode is going to be talk about choosing your colors, choosing your brand colors. How do I go about doing that? Explaining the difference in colors and hex colors and everything else. And then also the different websites that I use, creating a brand style guide or going through the motions of that, setting up Divi. So let's dig right in. All right. Let me share the screen. And here we go. So where we left off with the last episode or segment is we installed Divi, we installed all of the plugins that I use, and we have not done anything different because I'll be honest with you, the last episode was made about 30 minutes ago. So let's dig right in and let's talk about what we're going to do next. So as you create your brand, you're still at that starting point. You know, what colors do we use? How do we set all of these things up? How do we create all of these different assets? And I'm going to show you some of the tools that I use. One is a website that I'll include in the comment section called color-hex.com. And I use this website. It's a free website. It's a wonderful website. And I use this to determine colors. And this is probably one of the toughest things besides fonts. I mean, fonts and colors are pretty tough when you first start out. And I'm going to explain how I go about using these, or how I even recommend when I have clients that are starting a business or somebody wants to pay us to do a website for them. So when we do, and we still do a lot of, small business work, but one of the things, I get asked a lot is how much should you charge for a website? And I want to be real clear that website costs are all across the board, but for a standard Divi setup website with its templated out, and I'll show you how all of that works, I would probably charge anywhere between $1,500 to $2,500 because the templates are doing a lot of the work. I wouldn't charge any less than that. And I wouldn't do it for free. And the reason why I would never do a website for free, ever, 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 I don't care if it's your brother, your best friend, sister, parents, it does not matter, is you are going down a rabbit hole where if you do not charge any money to design a website for somebody, they will never appreciate the effort that it took for you to do the work that you did for them. Okay. Have I done that? Yes. I'm giving you a nugget. I have built tons of free websites for other people, and they never went anywhere, and they always call me and ask me to just make little simple changes. So I'm taking time out of my day. I don't really have that time anymore. So don't fall into the trap of free. So going on to colors. When we look at brand colors, I want to be real clear that there are certain colors we never use. Never use. Those are your yellows and your browns. And I don't know a nice way to say this, so I'll just say this as nicely as I can, but yellow reminds people, digital visitors, of disease. Brown is as much as you might think that it's earthy, it reminds people of fecal matter. They are not good colors to use. Other colors to avoid: red is an inflammatory color, so be careful with your reds. You can see this right on my screen, that here's a bright red Adobe, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Adobe is a huge company, so they get away with it. Even if you look at Agency Hacker within my logo that I created for Agency Hacker. It's almost an orangish red. It's not a flat red or a bright red. And the reason being is because it's been proven that Americans, not necessarily other places around the world, but Americans do not, red means stop. Green means go. There's basics, you know. If you use too dark of a blue, it's too masculine. If you use a pink or a lighter shade or your pastels, that's going to turn men off. So what does your audience look like? So we tend to stay within, you know, we do a lot with the oranges, the greens, the blues. We do some work with reds, and I'm just going to dig right in. So I decided for Digital Sherpa 360, this fictitious website that we're creating, that I want to go more with a blue, or I'm sorry, a green, almost like a neon colored green. So it would be up here in your spectrum. So you just click here once you're on their website, you click into this area and you're going to get a color palette. So this color looks a little too olive, 87E340. I want something a little bit brighter, a little bit more neon. You can click around and get to the colors that you're searching for. So that's more of a neon color. I'm not sure how I like this yet, but I'm going to go ahead and use that. So I'm going to go ahead and Control C. And I'm going to go over to a Google Doc here where I've decided that this, you know, we're going to take notes. So here's the focus color, this 99FD25. Hex colors are important. So as you're building something for somebody else, a quick way to make $100 or $200 from a small or medium-sized business is to go through an existing website and create a brand style guide. And we're going to make an episode later on about quick bucks and some of the sources to go out and make $100 tomorrow or $500 tomorrow, whatever that looks like. So we're going to go back here. We've got 99FD25. I'm going to go ahead and choose that. Now I'm going to go back up into here. So I'm here and I'm going to hit the enter button and it's going to give me a whole bunch of information. Oh my God, that's bright, right? Do I really want that color? I don't know. That's awfully bright. So if I'm going to use minimal colors, even as a focus color, that might work. I definitely don't want to go any brighter, but maybe I want to tone it down a little bit and go with something that's a little easier on the eyes. I don't know. Maybe I want to go with a darker shade. For all intents and purposes, I want to show you a couple of things because Color Hex gives you a whole bunch of information. So I'm going to choose 89E. This 89E, I'm going to Control C because I'm on a PC, Command C if you're on a Mac device. And we're going to go ahead and change this to 89E321. And I'm going to go back to Color Hex and see how it's giving me all of the information here. It's giving me a plethora of information, what it looks like on black versus white. It's giving me triadic colors, which are opposite ends of the spectrum from an RGB standpoint of the opposite colors within the triadic color scale, analogous colors. I'm not sure how I feel about those. And it's giving me monochromatic colors as well. If I scroll down, it's going to give me related colors. So maybe you like one of those a little bit better. Again, this is a free tool. I'll include a link within the episode notes to this website. But I'm going to go ahead and make some assumptions while I'm here. I'm going to go ahead and use this here because I like this color, this purple. And this is a complementary color. And I'm going to show you how that's used as we go through this. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. I've already made a Google Doc. And taking notes is your friend, I promise. Okay, so it's going to give me a link here. And I'm going to go ahead and break that link because I don't want to link to this document. And then I'm going to go into black. Flat black, the hex color code for flat black is 6 zeros. So 000 000. The flat absolute white is 6 Fs, FFF, FFF. But I don't really want to use those. I want to use something that is close, that's extremely close. So what I'm going to do here, and remember, I already made a note here, but I'm going to click on this one right here because this is still a little bit, has too much green in it, but I don't think I want to go with absolute white on this color. So it has hints here. I'm going to go into, let's say I want to do something with just a hint. So I'm going to use this color right here, FD, FE, FC. And I'm going to place that back into the brand colors here for white. Control V or Command V on your keyboard, PC versus Mac. I'm going to go back here. Oh, oops. I'm going to go back and put in my color here, my original color. So I have almost like a little mint green color, or just a shade of green. I'm going to put that in there, and then I'm going to go into my black, my shades of black. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the white. I'm going to choose 0D1603, but that's not my finished color. And that's a pretty good black, but it has just a little bit too much green in it. So I'm going to choose, I don't know, they're so close here, and you can't probably see it on the video, but I'm going to choose this one right here. Okay. I'm going to keep this screen open, and this is important, and I'll show you why in a moment. So I'm going to copy this here. I'm going to make that my black. Now I need a light gray, okay, and a dark gray for supporting colors. We never use brown. We never use brown. So I'm going to use this light gray since it's already part of that spectrum with the green included in it. I'm going to use this as a light gray. And then I'm going to choose the dark gray, which let me go ahead, and this has maybe a little bit too much green in it. I don't know how I feel about that yet. And you could use both if you wanted to, but let's go with this because it's a little bit more of a neutral color. So 868A81, I'm going to go back to my brand style guide. I'm going to put that in my dark gray. Now, we have a tough choice to make because the very next thing we need to do is we need to choose a supporting color. And in order to do that, we want to go back and put in our original color. Now we have to make a choice as to whether we're going to use a darker color to support this, or a lighter color. Now, in this case, and not always the case, if you're using a darker blue, you want to go with a lighter blue. If you're using a lighter blue, you want to go with a darker blue. So since this is kind of middle of the road and it's more of a lighter tone with some yellow in it, I'm going to go ahead and choose this color right here because I think that those two colors are going to support each other well when we go through and we create a logo. I might end up changing it down the road to this one right here, okay? And that's an easy change to make. So I'm going to Control C or Command C on a Mac, come back here, and I'm going to choose that as my supporting color. Now, header fonts. Fonts, there's 26,000 fonts out there. I, for the most part, default back to a font called Lato. And the reason being is I read a study roughly about 3 years ago that Lato was the easiest font to read. People got it. And it's a little bit fancy within the G's, right? So I always look at the lowercase letter G and some other letters, and it gives me a whole bunch of information. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and claim the header font as Lato and the body font as Lato for right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to include this right here, which is my dark gray. I'm going to use that as my header color for right now, because we're just going through how to set up Divi and how to get started. Control V and my text color so it's dark enough. You don't want to get too close to the same color as the background because then Google isn't going to index it and they're going to give, they look at it as keyword stuffing. And that's a whole different episode that we might get into later on down the road, but we're not going to do that right now. So now we have our colors. We have the purple complementary color. We have our focus color. we have, and then I'm going to move this over to another screen. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I'm going to start copying and pasting. I've also created, what are the pages that I'm going to create? Okay. What are the pages that I'm going to create? And this is important as we go through just setting up Divi, or this will actually be the next episode, which is choosing a template. All right. So we have all of our stuff together now. Now, the very next thing that we're going to do, because we have our colors chosen, we have our font colors chosen, we have our fonts chosen, all of this stuff, we're going to go here to click on Divi. And we're in, and this is why I like Divi, especially from a new user standpoint. All right. The Divi is very forgiving. We don't have a logo in place yet. We want to enable the Divi gallery. And then we want to choose our color. So here, as soon as we click on this, we're going to put in our color for black that we chose. Control C, Control V. All right. So it still looks like the same color black, but it has that hint of green. We're going to choose our white. The very next color I'm going to choose here is what we chose as our focus color, because we're going to use that a lot. So we have a hint of green here, a hint of green here. We're going to put in our focus color here. Oops, focus color here, where it's showing red. And then as we save this, it's going to save it all the way through. We're going to put in our complementary color here. And there's a reason why I'm doing this in a very specific way, because if I put the supporting color here, you could accidentally click it because you have two greens right next to each other. And I'm gonna contradict myself here in just a moment. So I went ahead and I put in my complementary purple here. Okay. And then the very next thing I did, I'm going to do here with yellow. We don't like yellow. I'm going to go ahead and put in my first gray, which is a light gray. In the very next one, I'm going to put in my dark gray. And then I have two left. So the next one is going to be a complementary color. Control C. I'm going to change that for the blue, which is that darker green that I'm not set on yet. Okay, I don't know how those are going to play together yet. And see, this last one is purple, so you still have one left over. And I'm going to go ahead and make that transparent for right now. All right, so I've set the colors. I've enabled the Divi gallery. I want to be able to, I want to enable the blog style mode. I'm going to leave this alone for right now. You could change this to left, right, whatever that looks like. I don't have a Google API key, but the very next thing I want to do is I want to disable my Google Maps. I want to disable my Google Fonts, because remember when we ran the Y slower, the speed test, Google Fonts slows down a website tremendously. Now, for this channel, let's just assume that I am going to have a Facebook page. I am going to show Twitter. Google Plus doesn't really exist anymore. I'm going to disable that. I may do an Instagram channel. And then the very next thing, and we'll go through how to set up all of these channels, is as we would go through all of these, we would put in the URLs. We're going to leave all of this just the way it is for right now. We might have to change this later. The very next thing is, do I want a back to top button? Let's go with it. And I'll show you how to custom style this later. Smooth scroll. Let's go ahead and do the smooth scrolling. And then Divi automatically minifies and combines JavaScript files and CSS files. And on the speed test, it showed that that was working, but it didn't show that the CDN network was working there. And I haven't gone through that yet. And then I'm going to go ahead and save those changes. We're about halfway through the video so far. So again, take a moment to subscribe and like. All right, so we have all of our colors in place. We want to go through navigation. We want to show drop-down menus, yes. Display home link, yes. All of this is pretty good. We want to click on categories. All of this is pretty good. We don't really need to change anything. Number of drop-down tiers, you can change this if you need more drop-downs as time goes on. Exclude, you can change all of this, which pages you want to exclude, and go through the settings as you're learning more about, mostly from an SEO perspective. Some of these settings will want to be changed, but for all intents and purposes of what we're doing, we're not going to do that right now. One thing that I am going to do is I'm going to enable the anchor or the alternative scroll to anchor method, and I'm not going to disable top tier drop down menu links. I'm going to hit save. This is under general, navigation in general. In the builder, I'm going to keep Divi enabled on everything. I'm going to leave all of this exactly how it is. I'm going to disable the product tour, but you may want to go through that. And the only reason I don't want to go through the product tour is because it'll keep popping up as I'm going through this video. The next area is the layout. And the very first thing that I do is I remove the comments. I keep the date, I keep the categories, I keep the author from a breadcrumb standpoint, which I'm not going to explain breadcrumbs for right now, but I do not want somebody to not potentially read a blog article because it doesn't have any comments yet. And you'd be amazed at how many people won't read something because nobody else has read it. So I'm going to click save here. This is on the single post, single page. Place thumbs on pages, comments on pages. I don't want that to happen. In my general settings, it automatically took the comments off because I took it off in the single post. All right. Now I'm not going to run through the ads. I'm not going to run through the SEO, and I'm not going to run through the integration because that's not important right now. Nothing needs to be changed on any of these based on this specific video. So the very next thing that I'm going to do, is I'm going to hover over appearance here. And then I'm going to hover on customize, and I'm going to click on customize. Setting up Divi, this is important for what's about to happen. So you're going to run through each one of these. And you can see that it's all pretty live. This is why we like Divi, especially just ease of use and visual builders. I'm going to go into my site identity. So the way you do that is you've gone into your appearance, you've gone into your settings or customize, and it's going to give you all of these options. And we're literally going to go all the way through most of these, not all of them, but most of these. We're going to click on general settings. We're going to click on site identity. We're going to make sure that everything is good here. And we haven't created a site icon yet, so we're good. We're going to click on the layout settings. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this to 1920. So it's going to go full screen. And then the very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the gutter width. Okay, so you see how that works? The gutter width is changing how close it is to the side. I don't know how to explain that any different. How close it is to the side, or how much gutter width it has between the side of a page and the content. If I change this to 1, see how it changes here? All right, so I'm going to keep that at 2 for right now. I'm going to keep everything else here the same. And then my theme accent color, I'm going to choose something fairly, I guess, I want to go with this purple for some reason. I'm going to use purple. See how it changed all of the presets here? I don't know if I want to go with purple yet. Maybe. But we're going to do that for right now, just from a tutorial standpoint. So I'm going to hit publish. So once it's published, I've changed my layout settings. I'm going to change my typography. The very next thing I'm going to change here is I want my body text to be either 15 or 16. And mess around with this. You don't want to make it huge, right? You don't want to make it huge. But let's say you want it, I don't know, I'm getting old. So let's make this 16 because I want to be able to read it. Header text size 30, that's good. That's a good transition here. If anything, people would probably recommend making the header size double the text size. Okay. The body link color, I'm going to go back here. So default theme font, I'm going to change that here in a minute. No, let's change it now. I'm going to leave this as the default, because the default theme font, without them actually telling you, is actually Lato. The same thing with the body font. Now, if I wanted something special, I could enable the Google fonts, but I'm also putting myself in a position that I'm slowing down the website, which is important to Google for ranking. I'm slowing down the website potentially based on a choice of fonts. Okay. My body link color, I'm going to go ahead and choose that same color purple because I want it to be bright. And then here, when we talked about body text color, so it's choosing 666, 6666. I'm going to go ahead and, oops. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Moved it over here. So I'm going to change this to my dark gray that I put in my brand style guide. Oops. All right, so it gave me a little bit of a lighter color gray. I'm also going to do that for my header text. Preset is 666, 6666, 66s. Now, one of the issues, and the reason why I copied and pasted, is because if I go in here and I decide to type this in manually, and this is a glitch that has happened within Divi for a long period of time, if I decide to do E8D6, see how it auto-filled right here? And it added in all of this extra stuff. They've never fixed that, and it's been years. So that's why I recommend going in and copy, Control-C, and paste, Control-V, and that's going to give us our exact color. So we have our body text, our header text, and our body link color, along with our header font. Again, the default theme font for Divi is Lato. All right. I'm going to go ahead and click Publish. And then I'm going to go back and click on background. So my background color, I'm going to also choose, and this is another glitch within Divi, I'm not afraid to point out glitches, is it did not give me my preset colors here that I'd already defined. You see that? So they're using this blue color, all right? And I want to use my purple color. Now see how it's created that dark background, and it's automatically changing everything within Divi as I'm creating these presets. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Publish. I'm through the very first general settings, so keep that in mind. The very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Header and Navigation. I'm not going to do anything with the header format. I could enable vertical navigation. You can mess around with this, look through Divi Nation. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this full width. See how it stretched this out. I'm going to make my menu height 54 inches. Okay, actually, I'm going to do it this way, 54. And at logo max height is also 54. I'm going to make my text size 15, just because I like it a little bit bigger than that. My text color, I'm going to go ahead and use my dark gray. I'm going to take the transparency. So this is your transparency, as you can see up here. Pay attention to right here. You can see what's happening. So I'm going to move my transparency. I want it to be darker. My active body link color, I want to make that my purple again, because that's my complementary color. So the active link, since we're on the home page right now, that turned purple. Maybe we want that to be green. I don't know. But we're just going to mess around with this for right now. Background color, I want to go ahead and make this my white instead of a flat white. I want to use this other color white. See how it gave that just a simple shade, just a hue of that green, that complementary color. My drop-down menu background color, that's if there were multiple pages here, if you hovered over it, it would go ahead and drop down the other stuff. We're going to go ahead and make that our white as well. That's our white with a hint of green. We're going to make our drop-down line color. Do we want that to be green or do we want that to be purple? I'm kind of liking the purple, so I'm going to stick with it. And then the drop-down menu text color, we're going to go ahead and click on our black. Okay? So we're going to choose our black, and that's our black within our green spectrum. Or maybe we want that to be the same as the text color. Let's make that the same as the text color, because that's a pretty cool color. And let's go ahead and hit publish. Now what I'm showing you is I'm showing you how to wireframe everything so that as you go through and you're literally setting everything up, that will make it so much easier as you have everything set up to just go with it. So I'm going to make a secondary menu. Now the secondary menu is what would go above here, above our main menu. I'm going to go ahead and increase the size of the text to 14, and you saw how it kind of highlighted here. Default theme font, I'm going to go ahead and leave that as is. I'm going to change the background color to our purple, just because I'm digging that purple. I'm going to make that color, instead of white, our absolute white, I'm going to make that our white with the hint of green. Drop down menu background color, we're going to go ahead and make that our purple as well. And our drop down menu text color, we're going to make that our white. Bear with me, we're moving along. We're going to start moving a little bit faster because a lot of these are the same. So we've made this full width, right? We hit publish. We're going to go back. Now we're going to do our fixed navigation. Let me explain fixed navigation. Fixed navigation is when you scroll down to the bottom of the screen here, how does this menu react? Okay, now because there's no content here, you're not going to be able to see it, but I've decided, just for shits and giggles, because I want to eliminate the transition, that I want to make this 54 as well, 54 pixels. And the reason being is because as I scroll down, this menu will stay the same. If I made this larger than 54 based on the previous screen with the main menu, it would become larger as I scroll down. If I made it smaller, it would become smaller. I'm going to choose the primary background color. I'm going to choose that same green, or that same white with the hint of green, because we're going to stay with the same form and function. Our secondary menu background color was a purple from the previous screen. Our primary menu link color, I'm going to make this the same color here. So I'm going to keep this right here. So the link colors are all the same. Secondary menu link color, we're going to make that our white because the background is purple. And a primary menu link color, we're going to make this, let's say purple. Active primary menu link color, because it's going to match here so that it's the same. So it's going to remain the same whether it's scrolled up or scrolled down. And then I'm going to hit publish again. See, I already screwed this up. See how this is 14? I don't want that text to shrink, so I'm going to up this to 15, and I'm going to hit publish again. Bear with me. This is a big video. This is how you set up every website that you're setting up. Now the header elements, I don't want to show the search icon. This search icon right here, I don't want to show that on this website. I want to go ahead and eliminate that and publish it. I could use the phone number, email here. That would go in the secondary menu up top. I'm going to go ahead and publish this. So let's assume actually if I did 888-888-8888, all right, and I hit publish. See how it didn't do anything? We don't have an active secondary menu. All right. There's a different way to do this. Or a different way to do phone numbers, click-throughs, everything else. That'll be a video down the line of how to use this. Now let's go to our footer. The layout for the footer, I want to make this 3. I want my footer background color to be our black. Okay, because it's providing a good contrast. And then I'm going to hit publish. I'm going to go to our widgets. Our header text size down in our widget area is 18. Body link text is 14. Again, it's a little bit small. I'm going to make that 15. I'm not going to mess around with any of this stuff. I want to change my widget text color to our white. Our widget link color to our white. Our widget header color, I could leave this as blue, but I'm going to go ahead and make that white as well. So there's a good contrast here. White on black is great. Google's going to love that. And our widget bullet color is also that white color. Okay. And I'm going to hit publish. So see how we're matching form and function as we go through. And I'm going to give you a bonus if you stick around until the end. I'm going to show you how to change this right here and change that button. And I'm going to put the CSS code in the show notes as well. Footer elements. I want to show this information, which are our social icons that we've decided on. Our footer menu background color, I'm going to choose black, our black. Footer menu text color, I'm going to choose our white. Footer active menu link color, all of that's going to stay the same, and I'm going to increase that to 15 as well here. So it's 15 across the board, I believe. Now, one thing that I didn't do, I chose this here, but I did not see how the transparency was all the way down. I'm going to go ahead and make that a full color or a full background. Feel free to pause this as you're going through. Background color here, I'm going to go back to our black. I'm going to change the transparency to full. I'm going to choose our white as the text color. See how it brightened that up? So it's bright. We love that contrast. I'm going to choose my font size as 15. My social icon, let's leave this at 24 for right now. And I'm going to go ahead and change my social icon color to our white. So see how that's standing out and there's no transitional color between here and here. That's going to play into how we're going to design this later. So on a PC, we want to do, let's say, Alt 0169, which is our copyright. We're going to put our, let's back up. Let's do 2020. Do Alt, hold Alt down, 0169. That's our copyright. And we're going to do Digital Sherpa 360. And then we can include a whole bunch of site links that we're going to have, you know, contact us or about us. We can add all of this stuff in, add that piping, contact us as an example. We can also include links in here, and we'll talk about that in an upcoming episode. So we're going to hit publish. We have this. It looks pretty good. Copyright. And our bottom bar is done. Footer buttons. This is important. So we're going to go back here. We're in our general navigation. We're going to click on buttons. And now we need to choose. I like 20 here because 15, 20 from a text size, that's going to stand out pretty good. I think this was 16. We're going to leave this, or let's make this 22. We're going to choose a text color of our white. We're going in our transparency is full, or opacity is full. We're going to choose a background color of our purple. Now see how that we have to pay attention to this transparency here. So all of the button background colors are going to be purple for now. We're going to do a border width of 2. Let's make our border color the same color, which is our purple. And then here's your border radius. So border radius, the more radius you have, the more round it is in pixels. I want to go with just a slight curve, so I'm going to choose 10 pixels here. If you do 0, it's going to be, that button is going to be completely square. If you did 50 here, that button is going to look like a pill button, which I don't know. It's whatever your preference is. Oops, it went back to 3. Let's do 10. I like 10. Button font style. Let's go ahead and make this all uppercase. TT is uppercase, italic, bold, underlined. We don't want to, I don't think we want to use any of these per se. And then do we want a button icon? You can choose one if you want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and choose no. And the reason being, I don't know, I'm just not into buttons moving as I'm trying to click them to do buttons. You can do that if you like though. So I'm going to hit publish. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to do a hover effect. What is that button going to look like when we hover over it? So we're going to choose buttons, hover style. We're going to go back in here. We're going to choose our white, full opacity, our background color. Now let's choose the green, okay? So let's choose the green here. So when we hover over it, it's going to go from purple to green. And let's go ahead and make our border color green here so it all matches up. You could do contrasting if you like. Border radius, we're going to go ahead and make that 10 so it matches. Letter spacing we're not going to mess with, and then we're going to publish that as well. All right, we're almost through. Thanks for hanging in there. Blog, we're going to leave the same. Color schemes, we're going to leave the same. Widgets, we're going to go through all of these. Do not matter for right now as far as setup. Actually, we'll go through menus in a different area. We're going to go ahead and click on widgets. And you see how this information is here. We don't necessarily want that information here. We want to change that. That's in our footer area 1. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the drop down. I'm going to remove, click on the drop down, remove, and click on the drop down, remove. And boom, look at that. All right. So I just explained how to go through all of these. And now the next thing that I want to do, let me pull this up on a different screen because I want to make sure that it's good stuff. Pull up a different website that I don't want you to see, and I'm going to borrow a piece of the code, the CSS code, and I'm going to make a quick change. And within that quick change to the CSS code, I want to show you something cool. So the very first thing I'm going to do, this is a bonus for making it all the way through the very first episode, is I'm going to give you a piece of code here. Let me go back to additional CSS. The very first thing I'm going to do is close this, and I'm going to show you how to make this button right here. Let's make that our color purple. So I just made it black, but where is my branding? Yeah, let's change this. I'll include this code. So the background color of 000 is flat black. I want to make that purple. How does that look? Is that pretty slick? Keep in mind this purple is going to go away. So maybe you want a purple background, maybe you want a black background, but there's a simple code, right? I'll include this in the comments so that you can set up yours however you want. And I'm gonna keep giving little hints and little bonuses to people that make it all the way through. So I'm gonna leave that at purple for right now because I think that looks pretty slick until I change my mind 10 minutes from now. But that's our first piece of code. I'm actually going to show you how to change this in a video coming up, how to actually inspect an element and then write your CSS in a way that it makes sense and make the changes that you want on a website. All right, so the very last thing that I'm going to do, I'm not going to change the menu here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the menu from the dashboard. I'm going to show you how to do that. So you could do it here, create a new menu. But since we haven't changed the menu, or we haven't created a menu yet, I'm going to do that from the dashboard. So I'm going to X out here. I'm almost done with this episode. Thanks for hanging in there. We're going to go into appearance here, and then we're going to choose menus. Now, when you create a page, it's going to list those pages right here in the menu. We don't have any pages created yet, so we're going to create kind of a dummy menu for what we want to create. We're going to click here on primary menu. If we wanted a secondary menu, we would do a secondary menu. We can do footer menus. We can do custom menus. We can do all kinds of things. But just for the setup purposes, we're going to choose main menu. We're going to call it main menu, and we're going to create that main menu. The reason why I had these pages set up already is we're going to test this end result. And I'm going to create, since I don't have any pages here, I have to create custom links just to see what that layout looks like. So I'm going to create a custom link by putting a hashtag here or a number sign. And if you go back here, remember, these are what we want to see. Okay. So we have a contact page. We're going to do this in a little bit of a different order, but I have a home page. So I'm going to call this home. Add to menu. Then I have another one that's going to be an about page. I have another one that's going to be services. We have another one that's going to be, let's see, services, contact, disclosure pages. Oops, not that one. So let's go ahead and do a contact page. Oops, see what I did wrong there? Didn't put in the number sign, so I'm going to put in contact. Oops, contact. I'm going to put in disclosures. And then the last one is going to be, I'm going to call this articles. Okay. I just really don't like the word blog. I don't know why. I've never liked it. So the most frequented page on a website is the home page. The second most frequented page generally with somebody who's navigating to your website is going to be the about page. Services, contact. I want the contact. See how I can just drag and drop here? Disclosures, articles close to contact, because once somebody reads an article and they want to reach out because we're offering them some form of engagement, the contact page makes sense. I'm going to create one more page, and I'm going to show you how this works because we want to review what we've done, one more menu item, and I'm going to call this cookie policy, because there's certain things that you're going to need to create. One is a cookie policy. And we're going to go ahead and add this to the menu. Now, the last thing we're going to do here, we don't want this here. This is under our disclosure. So this is a standalone. If I move in just a little bit, see how it creates it. This is a sub page of our disclosure within our menu item. We're going to go ahead and save the menu. And we're going to go ahead and see how that looks with all of the changes that we just made. All right. So we have our disclosures. We have everything in place. See how this drop down, we have our cookie policy. Everything looks pretty good. And you've just wireframed the entire Divi setup. All right. So the key to this is I just went through and absolutely wireframed an entire website in 49 minutes and 12 seconds. Giving a tutorial during that process. Okay, so the reason why I recommend Divi to everybody, especially people who are new within the agency world, is one, ease of use. And I just literally showed you how to wireframe an entire website not build out the website, but wireframe that entire website in less than 50 minutes as I talked you through it. So literally, when we get a client in the door, and we have we have everything in place. We've done our design assets. We even went through and picked our colors out and did all of that mapping and did everything in less than an hour. All right. So you cannot do that with Elementor. You cannot do that with Oxygen. I guarantee that the learning curve, because I use both of those too, I've used all kinds of different tools. The reason why we push everybody towards Divi is for this reason. Okay. It's so easy to set up. We already have our wireframe. We can input all of our stuff. Now, once I show you the next video, so when we start talking about going through templates and choosing and all of this other stuff, since we have the wireframe in place, you can literally create a website in a day. Okay, so maybe 2 days. I don't know if you're creating all the other assets and everything else. So if you're charging $1,500 to design a website or $2,500 to design a website, I encourage you to go towards the higher end, because again, they don't realize how easy it is for you to do this. And you're just going to absolutely blow them away. You just earned potentially $2,500 in 2 days worth of work. That's pretty sexy from an agency standpoint. Okay, can you hire it done for you? Absolutely. Other people are going to charge you right in line 1,500, 2,500 for a roughly 6-page website that you're seeing here. Okay, so I don't know. We'll see you on the next episode. Again, hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate having you guys here. The next video is going to be actually choosing a template from the Divi library and making it your own, and using all of the colors from the wireframe that we just created, doing some really cool stuff with it, and literally we can just create all of these pages now that we just decided on, and get one step closer to having something functional for you to show a prospective client. Thanks for showing up. We'll see you soon.